guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Armelis. In today's video I just want to talk to you guys about traveling with twins. We've done 2 airplane rides and like a couple of road trips with the twins, so I feel like I'm a little bit qualified here to give some advice, some tips. So in this video I'm going to share with you guys my best advice, my best tips, what to plan ahead for, what to pack, and also more importantly how to make it a pleasant time. First and foremost, I want to say that the best tip I can give any parent is to have a positive attitude. Having a positive attitude is what will carry you through those rough patches and kind of those moments where you feel anxious or overwhelmed or stressed, whether it's in the plane or at the airport. Let's get into it. So first things first is know what the time difference is, where you're going, and what your day is going to look like with your kid or multiple kids. If you have a nap schedule or a bedtime routine for your kids, you want to know what that's going to look like when you arrive at the destination. For example, we've been to Paris twice with the twins, and I already know it's a 6-hour time difference. So for us, it's very important to take a nighttime flight as late as possible, because then while we travel, they can sleep, which is the time that they're already used to sleeping here in New York, right, at night. And then when we land, it'll be daytime. That's something else that I take into account. So what time will we get there, and when will their next nap be? Do they need to fall asleep right away, or should I keep them up? These are the kind of questions I ask myself when I'm traveling somewhere with the babies. It's what is the schedule gonna look like once we arrive? Account for the time that it takes to leave the airport to get to your hotel, Airbnb, or whatever situation you have, whether you're staying with a family, etc. My next thing is definitely come up with a plan between you and your significant other, or if you're traveling alone, I'm praying for you. But if you are traveling with someone, whether that's your parent, a sister, brother, partner, whatever it is, come up with a plan as to who's doing what before the trip and also during the trip. I try my best to be the one that's packing everything and kind of organizing all of those things. I make a list of what the twins are gonna need, what I'm gonna need, and I lead with packing all of their stuff first and shopping for their stuff first before I do my own, because then I have like the mental space to do that. What we usually do is that I pack and make the list for all the packing essentials, and Morgan kind of does the itinerary. And then when we get to the airport and when we travel on the plane, Morgan is a really tall person. He's 6'4", so a lot of times I'm the one that's gonna be doing the diaper changes in the airplane and things like that. It's a crowded space. It's easier for me to move around between the aisles and like get up with the babies. So those things I kind of handle, whereas he's handling like the baggage and the carrying things and like lugging stuff around and all of that stuff. So that would be my next tip, is just have assigned roles or whatever you want to call it for each other, so that you can have a better experience at the airport and on the plane. My next advice is, if you do have a baby that's under 1 year old, I've traveled with them under 1, and what I can say is that having a bassinet on the plane can be very, very efficient and helpful. Bassinets are something that I didn't know about before traveling with these twins. I've rarely traveled with Leanna when she was younger, and I think the first time I traveled with her, she was 4 years old already, so there was no need for this. But I saw a mom on TikTok who actually has twins share that she always like requests these bassinets on the airplane, and I'm like, where has this been? So thank God I saw that TikTok before we went on our first trip with the twins. So the bassinet is a little bit conditional because it depends on the type of aircraft you're flying in, the length of your flight, and where you're going. But again, because we've traveled to Paris, which is an international flight that happens to be long, we haven't come across a situation where bassinets aren't necessarily available on that aircraft. It's always more about if it's available, given who's requested it first, who got ahead of us, things like that. Get to the gate early. You know, politely ask the person like, hey, you know, we have some babies with us, we wanna, or you have a baby with you and you wanna reserve a bassinet. Usually if there's any available, they're very nice and they kind of just let you know like, yeah, we have 1 or we have 2, etc. So the first time we traveled, we were able to secure the bassinet, but on the way back from France, we tried to arrive early, and we arrived a little too late to our gate to check in and stuff, and they were like, there's nothing available. So of course what we had to do is just carry them on our lap, which it's not super inconvenient, but at the same time, when you have 2 babies, like I said, Morgan is tall, when you want to eat and just like, you know, it does get uncomfortable on a long flight to just have a baby on you. It's kind of nice to have the bassinets because you're able to put them there when they do fall asleep. And if they wake up, they can kind of sit up and chill in the bassinet, which we've done. I will say that some aircrafts, the flight attendants don't let you do that. If the baby's up, they're just like, you gotta carry them. We've also been on flights where they don't care and they pass by the aisles and they see the baby in the bassinet sitting up, playing, whatever, and they don't mind. But again, that's definitely something you have to think about, because there's also instances of turbulence, or when they put the fasten seatbelt sign on, like the baby has to come off the bassinet. Even if they're sleeping, even it doesn't matter. They literally come and they're like, hey, you got to take the baby out. So, you know, even though the bassinets are super helpful in some moments, we've also had an experience where we'd have to take them down when they were asleep. So, you know, again, positive attitude and lots of patience, because there are like just curves that get thrown at you and you have to kind of be ready for it. My last tip about that is you want to be persistent about it. I definitely commend my husband about this, because Morgan will literally keep asking until he's on board at the plane. Like the person that's checking us in at the airport when you first arrive says that there's no bassinets. He's like, okay, cool. We get to the gate. He's like, I need a bassinet. I need 2 bassinets. They're like, we don't know. We're not sure. And then we'll get on the plane and he'll ask the flight attendant, do you guys have bassinets? Can we get bassinets? Can we get a seat with bassinets in front of us? Like, so sometimes you just have to be persistent. I'm the type of person that when somebody says no, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm afraid. I don't want to ask again. But Morgan is definitely the type of person that doesn't give up. We travel with this carrier. Sorry, I have it on a hanger because I keep it in the closet like that. But this is from Ergo Baby, and I love this. My husband has one and I have one. And we basically use this to go through security, because you have to unload the babies from the stroller and all that stuff. They can't even stay in the stroller for security. So you want to make sure you have a carrier that you like, that's comfortable and all of that, and have it handy. Sometimes we just keep it right on top of the stroller, or we wear it with us while we're going through the airport, because we know that in a hurry we're going to have to just mount them on us. Having a good carrier, definitely recommend. Okay, and when it comes to what to pack, so I try to be mindful of not overpacking for the babies. Depending on where you're going, just remember that you can get any, you know, little essential or an extra piece of clothing or onesie, whatever, like things like that you may need. You might want to shop when you're at your destination for your baby, or just in general, you know, don't bring too many items, especially if you're staying somewhere where there's a washer dryer. Like, forget it, I'm packing even less. With clothes, I just try to keep in mind how many days I pack, like if I'm packing for me. So like, what outfit are they gonna wear on this day for this event, etc. And I bring just enough outfits for that. And then I pack like a couple of onesies and pajamas and socks and extra bows and things like that for Cora. I'm kind of like open to buying things at my destination when it comes to that, and just packing the very essentials. We use their diaper bag. This one, I've done a video on this before. This is the Dagny Delver diaper bag. It's like a neoprene material. It's perfect for travel because it's actually really big. This is the size large of their diaper backpack, and you can unclip the side. It becomes wider, you know, so it's just amazing to travel with, and the straps are so breathable and comfortable. 10 out of 10 recommend. If you do want to get a glimpse into the bag and all the components and everything, you can feel free to watch that video. I'll make sure to link it above so that you guys can watch it if you're interested. But basically, this is the one we travel with. And in here, I try my best to pack it as if I'm going on a walk with them. Like, it's nothing too overwhelming. All of their clothes and all their stuff is packed in the check bag or the carry-on. This is what I use on the plane. So this has their very next feedings, their diapers that they need for the ride. I think of the whole entire commute. Like I said, you want to make sure you account for even like the time it takes to leave the airport and commute to your hotel and your stay. I pack snacks. I pack a few toys in a little Ziploc bag for them so they could play on the airplane. I buy my diapers for them at the destination. I take just enough for the commute and maybe a few extra on the suitcase just in case. Little things like the diaper cream, I only pack like a little one that I can take for the plane. Lotion I don't bring unless I'm bringing a check bag and I'm able to like pack all those things. But even then, it's like, I already know that where I'm going, I'm gonna have a pharmacy, then I'm gonna buy those things over there. The babies just turned 1 and thankfully no more formula. But when we traveled with them this last time, they were still on formula, and the time before that, of course, as well. So I use these little containers for their individual formula servings. It has 5 portions that you can fill, and the rest of the formula I pack in one of these gallon bags. So I got these at Target. I usually like the ones that have like the zipper thing that you can pull, but these work just fine, the ones that snap. Depending on the can that you use for your formula, you might have to use 2 bags, but the one that I was using before was Earth's Best, and one whole can, like the value size one, fits in one of the gallon bags. So I basically brought, I think it was 5 bags of these. At the time for our first trip, we had like a check bag, so we were able to bring more formula. This time around, we only did carry-on for our last trip. I think I brought like 2 bags with me, not 5, because this was also a shorter stay. The first trip we went for 2 weeks, and this time we only went for 5 days. Once you get the formula in here, you can just, you know, flatten it, get the air out. I double bag it, and then I put it at the bottom of the suitcase when I'm packing. I just like that to be the base so that I can then pack on top. The TSA agents don't really, you know, they know that you're gonna bring formula. There's no limits on like the amount of water, formula and things like that, baby food that you can bring. The only things that they have stopped to check me for is when I bring water in the bottle, like if it's already served in the bottle. They ask me to open the bottle and they like hover a little test strip over the bottle opening. Nothing goes inside the water, and it just like, I don't know, they test it for like explosives, I don't know what. So then you want to think about cleaning the bottles. I bought a portable drying rack. This one is from OXO. This one is really great. It opens, it's like a little suitcase, and it has all these little pegs. Brush goes in here. So right now it's together, but you basically push this down and then you twist and it comes apart. One of the pieces goes right here, so you just pop it in here. And then this other handle, which is great because it also has this little like nipple cleaner, like a nipple brush. So when it comes apart, you also have like a way to clean the nipples if you like. But basically it goes like this. It's pretty great. And you can even maybe put some pacifiers in here or any extra nipples that you want. Just make use of the space if you like. But love this case. I brought it with me because on the plane, at the time for the first trip, the babies were drinking more often their bottle. This time around, they didn't drink as much milk as they were drinking, you know, when they were like 6, 7 months old. So I didn't necessarily have to wash the bottles on the plane because we gave them one last bottle before takeoff, and then they kind of just slept and ate solids, you know, things like that. You want to make sure your baby has enough layers and that you're able to get them in and out of those layers easily if you need to do a diaper change. So my biggest hack is to buy these magnetic knee pajamas. They're magnetic, so no buttons, no, you know, clip, anything. It just snaps in with magnets and it goes all the way down. I love these because they're also so thin but very stretchy. These are actually 3 to 6 month pajamas, and they're now 1 year old. And on this last trip I was like, no way these are gonna fit. They still fit. So what I do is I put these on and like another onesie underneath. I pack an extra outfit in a diaper bag and just have it handy for when I get out of the plane. But for the most part, this is just the most convenient thing. And a lot of people like probably wonder what we do on the plane with the twins when they're there. I think that's probably the part that everyone imagines is like, oh my God, like what do people say, do, or react, or, you know. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about that. They don't sleep the whole time. So the first time I went to Paris, they did sleep longer than they did on this time around. I think they're just like a little older now. They're toddlers. They're more stimulated by things and people and faces and stuff. They're typically not the type to like throw a tantrum and stuff, at least not yet. So they're pretty chill. I think that the hardest thing about when they wake up is that, you know, you just feel tired because you can't relax. So it's not that they're being necessarily difficult or like crying or doing anything like that, but like they're just curious. So like they touch the seatbelt. They sometimes, depending on, you know, who's next to us, like Cora wants to make friends with everyone, so she wants to touch the person and it's like you can't touch them. Or if you wanted to fall asleep, like it's a dub, you're not going to sleep. So, you know, that's what makes it frustrating because you're on a plane and you're uncomfortable. The seats are like, you know, tight. When you have a baby on you, it's tighter. It's just all of those little things that make it uncomfortable. That's why I very, very much lead with, yo, you really have to have a positive attitude. Then as far as other people, I don't let myself get influenced a lot by like what people may think or say or feel, because babies need to travel. Like that's just the bottom line. We found that a lot of the times we've traveled, people seem to be very empathetic because they see us with 2 babies. So we've only encountered nice people that are friendly, that if our baby decides to like casually touch them or reach for their, you know, screen that they're watching the TV on, they've been nothing but nice and just like laughed with them or played with them, you know. So we haven't come across any situation where we feel uncomfortable because of who's around us or next to us. So, you know, just try your best to give yourself that grace that you are doing your best, that you planned as best as you could, and that you have a baby with you. You know, it's hard for adults to control themselves and act accordingly on plane rides sometimes or at the airport, right? Like we've all seen it. We've seen the videos. Like nonetheless a baby, you know what I mean? So if your baby does get a little fussy or anything, like just take a breath, you know, like do what you can in that moment to soothe them, and just know that you're doing your best, because that's all you can do. You can't leave the plane. Sometimes you can't get up from your seat. So you just really, it's about coming like into your breath basically and staying grounded and present, because some of those situations are just tougher than if you were home, right? We have to seatbelt the baby with our seatbelt. So they can't just be on your lap. You want to make sure you know that, because we tried to like get away with like, oh, they're sleeping, and they're like, but is their seatbelt on? And we didn't want to wake them from them like being on us on the carrier. But like we had to do it because the flight attendant is like lifting the blanket. They have no shame. When it comes to safety, they're like, is the baby strapped in? They're not gonna take your word for it. Like, that's how it is. The way it works with the plane is that you have your seatbelt, and then they give you this tiny little orange like strap. It's the seatbelt for the baby, and it goes like looped into your seatbelt, and then you basically strap them. So that way, like, even though they're on your lap, they're also tied to you. So, you know, just understand the airlines, you know, rules and regulations, and like the security check stuff, what you can bring or can't, what the best gear is for you to bring. Like, we have a foldable twin stroller that is like easy to just fold, and we rather travel with that than like our bigger, you know, two-seater stroller that like requires you taking the seats off. Like, it's just too much. So make it easier for yourself, get gear that's going to make your life easier, and just understand all of the aircraft rules and things like that, so that you are best prepared for traveling with your baby. Someone asked me my thoughts on buying an extra plane seat. I haven't done that yet. We haven't necessarily thought about buying another seat for them, because we don't mind just having them on us on the carrier, or like I said, asking for the bassinets in front of us. So especially because we like taking advantage of the fact that because they're under 2, they fly for free. You only pay like the taxes and stuff, so we're trying to take advantage of that in their first 2 years. So adding a seat to that is not really something that we care to expense right now. I don't know, I guess we're just maxing out this under 2 is free thing, and then we won't have that anymore. So we'll be buying 2 seats for these little toddlers. So listen, get it while you can. So those are my thoughts on that. All right, so once you arrive at your destination, you're there, you're here with your baby, you're about to have a great time. The next thing I think about is commuting. When we went to Paris the first time, we quickly realized that it's not as easy as you think to find cars, taxis, whatever, with 2 car seats in them. Nearly impossible. I mean, there was a point where we tried to order a cab, and we were at our like event or whatever for like an hour or something, just waiting for a driver that can provide 2 car seats. We learned our lesson with that, and as soon as we found a driver that can provide 2 car seats, Morgan quickly saved this contact, and for this next trip we just made sure to hire him ahead of time, like for a day rate, and it's like, you're the driver that's going to pick us up to take us wherever we need to go. So these are things you could, you know, think ahead of if you're a twin mom. But if you have one baby, you know, it's still something to consider. We didn't travel with our car seats. We decided to leave them at home. That's why for us it was a little complicated to find the car seats in Paris. But we also commuted a lot on bus and train because we didn't mind it. So if you're not the type of person that's going to be commuting or feeling comfortable commuting on a bus or a train, and you know, doing public transportation, or that's just not an option for you where you're going, just make sure you know how you can access a car with a car seat. If you're a twin mom, life hack, get a driver and pay them for the day. So thank you for watching. I really hope this was helpful and that you guys, you know, got what you needed from it. I'm gonna link below any essentials that I travel with my twins, like as far as what I pack, any little bit of gear that I can share with you guys, the diaper bag and the portable drying rack, the little formula dispenser, the pajamas, you know, all of those things. I'll link that below for you guys. But anyway, thank you for watching, you guys. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.